Hi YouTube, it's Winona. I haven't done a video in a while and I just wanted to do a little short video regarding the subject of church hopping. Church hopping is a very popular term within the Pentecostal ranks, charismatics as well, non-denominational fellowships and churches. Basically, what church hopping is, for those of you who do not know, is when a churchgoer is outgrown or is tired of attending the church that they are attending, and they feel that nudge, that direction, that pull to leave the church that they're currently attending. And they leave the church that they're attending and they go on a search to find another church. And in fact, they do find another church to attend. And they do this frequently. Okay. Now, having come up in the Baptist church and converted, if you will, to Pentecostalism, then to non-denominationalism, if you will, pretty much in church all my life. I hadn't heard of the term church hopping until I went into the Pentecostal church. So that's where I believe that term was created, if you will. And it's always been preached on or taught upon as being a bad thing. Okay. If you were labeled a church hopper, basically you were not faithful, you were not committed, you were sometimes in rebellion, according to the preachers and the pastors and leaders of these churches. Um, they will preach on you and tell you, you know, church hopping is bad. That's not God telling you to leave this church. If you leave this church, you're not hearing from God. You're being used of the enemy. Blah, 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 blah. This is the type of manipulation and control that goes on in the ranks of most churches now, because I believe that even in the traditional churches such as the Baptist churches and even in some Methodist churches and Presbyterian, Episcopalian, they have all adopted the same mentality, the same teachings. There's a just for instance, there's a Methodist church right around the corner, and United Methodist, predominantly white, and in those type of churches, 20 years ago, for what I saw in my when I went to church, because we used to go to these Methodist churches, they maybe 20 years or so ago, they started adopting the practices that a lot of Pentecostal churches do. They started, having ministers of music and quiet, praise and worship in just different types of things. The church around the corner from me, the Methodist church, they were advertising for the longest that they needed a minister of music. And this was a predominantly white Methodist church. And I would always look at the ad when I would walk past the church, and I would be like, since when the United Methodist Church ever needed ministers of music and blah, 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 blah. Now they're looking for praise and worship. Part-time praise and worship leader. They're advertising it on their thing. And the reason why I bring that up is because all of the churches now are just alike, no matter what the denomination. I don't even understand denominations because they're all alike and they're all wrong. But no doubt, I bring that up because everybody now is using the term church hopper, okay? And they look down upon it as a bad thing, and they don't really stop to think, well, why are people leaving my church? The pastors and the bishops and the leaders are not thinking and saying, hey, why are these people leaving? They just automatically point to the congregants and say, hey, there's something wrong with them. There's nothing wrong with this organization, and there's nothing wrong with me, darn it. This is the house of the living God. And if you leave here, there's going to be a curse on you. And you're in rebellion and you're in sin. Let me tell you something. If you are what the preachers term church hopping, that does not mean that there is anything wrong with you. I want you to hear me. There is nothing wrong with you. I know that they said if you go to every church and deal with the same thing, it's not us, it's you. Wrong. That is a lie, okay? It is them. It is the whole organized church system. It is corrupt. It is bereft of the Spirit of God. Ichabod is written, across every doorpost of every church. Isn't that pretty extreme to say, Winona? It is, but it's the truth. The truth is extreme. If you come across a truth that's not extreme, you haven't come across the truth. You've come across a dilution of the truth, which is really not truth. Okay? But anyway, I'm doing this video to encourage people who are church hopping. I want to actually encourage you to stop church hopping. Not because of the reasons that you've been taught to stop church hopping, but I want you to know that the reason why you're church hopping is because you are seeking the kingdom of God. And you're not going to find the kingdom of God in any church. I'm sorry. I know that's a shock, and you may not be able to receive that right away. Especially if you've been raised in church all your life like I was. You're going to think, hey, I must be in some kind of sin. I'm backslidden. I'm this, I'm that, and I'm so far away from God. No. Baby, it's in the wilderness when it's just you and God that you're closest to Him. You get rid of all those religious voices that's in those churches, and those leaders are just spewing all over the people. And you get to hear from God for yourself. He gets to order your steps. He gets to direct your paths. It's just you and Him. And it's great. It's freeing. It's so liberating. Don't listen to these religious spirits embodied in these church leaders, these pastors, these bishops, these apostles that try to make you believe because you're being led by the Spirit of God for real, that you're in error and you're in rebellion. No, you're not. You're seeking the kingdom of God. I encourage you to get in your word, to pray, and ask God what He wants you to know. What is He trying to speak to you? And if He does not lead you to read your word and pray, then don't. Trust Him. Trust Him. That's what allowing God to direct your paths and order your steps is all about. Just faith, trusting Him, walking out on faith, knowing that God got you. For real. Your salvation does not depend upon church attendance, upon who you obey and listen to with these clergy collars and these long robes and all the pomp and circumstance that's just prevalent in these churches. God is not being glorified. God is not being worshiped the way that He should be. So He's calling His remnant out. He is. And if you're a part of that remnant, you're hearing this, you're hearing God. You are hearing from God. He is telling you to come out. He's not telling you to hop from church to church to church. He's not telling you to leave one church to go to another church. He's not. Revelations 18:4. Come out from among her. Be separate. Be not partakers of her sins, so you won't suffer her plagues. And that's the harlot church. And that's all that's out there now, baby. So just trust God. Walk out of there. Step out on faith. And know that God got you. Be encouraged. God bless you.